Hello, and welcome to our special monthly series, where we deep dive and explore the issues and hot topics that affect our community. Through this series, we hope to help each and every one of you level up and put into action what we believe are the core values Harry and Meghan champion: kindness, compassion, building community, hard work, and achieving personal excellence. Presented by your host, Tina Rodriguez, one half of the Sussex Squad podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast everywhere podcasts are available. You can also reach us via social media and our website, www.sussexsquad.com. Now sit back, relax, get your pens, notepads, perhaps grab tea, coffee, wine, whatever fits your fancy. Thank you, and let's level up.
Hello, everyone, and this is Tina Rodriguez. I am one half of the Sussex Squad podcast, and this is our new series, which is the Conversations With series, where we talk to different people to help our community level up. And today I will be talking to Sonia. You guys are pretty familiar with Sonia. She's been on a few podcasts with us, and we're going to be discussing pivoting careers during COVID times. And so with that, I'll let Sonia introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sonia, and Tina, I believe you asked me on this session because I work with people. That's what I do. I'm an executive coach. I'm a change manager, a master trainer, and I work every day with leaders to help their people perform at their best and ensure that the systems that they're working with maximize their productivity. And I also work with women leaders to help them navigate change in their career and help them to accomplish their goals. So I'm looking forward to really sharing any knowledge I have that can help people when it's about pivoting their careers and dealing with the change that has come around with in these COVID times.
Certainly. No, that's actually amazing because I didn't know that. I knew that you worked with people and you coached, and that's one of the reasons why I asked. But I didn't even know that you do change management and changing, because I think that's important in this conversation that we're going to have about pivoting careers during this very trying times where people have lost their jobs or they just feel like maybe they want to do something different. And so your expertise is going to be very much valued in that realm of changing and pivoting for people. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you. So the first thing that I wanted to kind of we have a few topics that we're going to talk about. This is going to be more of we want to make it conversational, right? But we still want to get like key points through to you. So there are maybe about 3 or 4 topic items that we're going to discuss. And then towards the end, there have been some questions that people have asked that I will ask you, whatever we can get to. And for those listening, I just want to let you know that this will not be a long podcast. We are trying to hour maximum. And so that means that maybe we have about 35 minutes for conversations and about 25 minutes for questions. I hope you're okay with that, Sonia.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay, awesome. And so the first topic that came up: how does one make a career pivot and then get hired? Because in this environment we're in, a lot of people want to make a career pivot, and they're like, okay, great, I can make a career pivot, but how do I get hired in this environment where I'm changing what I've always done and I'm changing into something else? What do they need to get hired while making a career pivot?
Mm-hmm. Well, you have to understand that when you're pivoting, you're not starting from scratch. You're bringing every single thing, every experience, every skill, all the knowledge that you've had before in however many years you've had in the career that you are in now. You are bringing those with you. And so it's valuable. And it's up to you to demonstrate that value. First of all, to document the value that you're bringing, because a lot of us underestimate just how great and fabulous we are. And sometimes that's why people come to me as a coach. I have to say, well, here's all the experience that you're bringing and here's what you're doing. They need someone else to tell them and interpret their expertise. So that's the first thing you have to realize, that you're not a newborn chicken. You're an experienced, capable individual who's coming with lots of knowledge. And so when you have identified where you want to pivot to, then what you do is that you go through your experience and your background and all the things that you've accomplished in your past. And then you demonstrate on your in the interview, on your resume, you highlight what those experiences will do in the new arena that you're going into. And so if you were an accountant, for example, dealing with numbers, and now you want to go into a creative field, then you just say, well, one of the key things that I've learned in accounting is to be detailed oriented, to really see trends and how numbers come together. And that trend analysis, that ability to see how things are connected will help me in this creative field. And so those are the types of things that you do.
Wow. That's actually pretty interesting, because I think a lot of people just don't know that they can translate what their current skill set, what they've already built, their trade craft, into what they're going to pivot into. And that's important to be able to get from what you're currently doing, and then saying, oh, right, let me now rework this into this new job. And would you say that maybe if you're going into a new career, right? So you said from an accountant to be more creative, you look out there to see what other creatives are doing, and then try to then pull from your accounting background into that.
Yes. And pull not only, so first of all, look at where you want to pivot to. So if you want to go and be a creative person in marketing, for example, you want to look and see, well, what are the common skills and abilities that are needed there? Then you want to look at your accounting career and say, okay, what can transfer? And how can that be of a benefit to where I'm going? Because you have to sell yourself. You have to demonstrate your value to people. People are not automatically going to look at your resume and just see it. You have to show it. And so that means when you're doing your new resume for that creative agency, that you interpret the accounting skills and how they can translate to creative field for them. You don't make them do it. You don't put on your resume from January 2019 to 2020. I've been an accountant. You say, and I have looked at numbers. You say 2020. Accountant, but then you interpret for them in those bullet points what it will mean for the creative field. And then not only your work environment, but do you volunteer? Do you do anything on the side? Do you, host and pull together your child's PTA team online now? Pull from all the areas of your life. What are those skills that you utilize that you are excellent at that will really benefit and show value to the people that you're trying to convince to hire you?
No, that's really good. That's amazing. I'm definitely going to be hitting you up. And I think we've talked about this from a personal level, but for those of you out here, Sonia is an executive coach. Please hit her up if she has time, because she's very busy. She's a very busy woman. And I don't know if she does this for individuals, but I'll let her talk about that towards the end of this. But I'm going to be hitting you up. So
I do it for a few individuals. Yes.
Okay, awesome. And one of the other topics that I wanted to kind of highlight, because I think that especially for women and specifically women of color, women of color, I wanted to talk about knowing your worth and understanding the opportunity that you bring to, and we've talked about it in the first question, but really hammering home as a woman, Black women or women of color, wherever, like knowing who you are and understanding that you have to step into that confidence that you have. And how do you bring that into pivoting to a new career?
Well, the first thing is that you have to, one of the things that I say to every single person is that you need to keep a brag book, right?
Okay.
And your brag book is all the things that on a weekly basis, what did I do that was so good today? Right? Because you have to communicate to your worth. And so let me start with number one. How do you do that? The first thing is that you have to play to your strengths. And in order to play to your strengths, you have to know what your strengths are. So I know I'm really good at taking complex subject matter and breaking them down into small little bits so that people can understand what is required to change a skill. I know that's my strength. So I play to it. I go into training, I go into development, I go into helping people to become better at skills. So that's the first thing you want to do is identify where your strengths and play to them. Don't go trying to fix your weaknesses. No, it is all about what am I really good at? Am I good at speaking? Am I good at communicating? Really write those down so that you are choosing options and opportunities that play to those. So when you go into interview for a new position, it requires that you have to stand in front of people or you need to communicate with lots of people. You're excellent at that. And you have lots of experience and areas where you can do that. The second thing is that you have to know what is of value to people. So you have to identify, if I'm going for this job, what does that company value, right? Not what do you value. So you go and you go to a creative field and you're telling them about what a great accountant you are. They're not valuing that. And so so you're not demonstrating value. Know what they value. They value people who can synthesize different pieces of information and come up with where that may be leading and where they need to go. And you are able to do that with numbers, so you can translate that skill to other areas. So know what is of value to them so that you can say, here's how I can help you. And so if you're sitting down and wondering, am I valuable? Just look and see, well, what do people value and what can I do? What are my strengths? What can I show that I know they will be interested in? And that's when I say keep a brag book. You can't sit down and do this in one go. Every week you have to sit down and say, okay, what did I do this week that was really good? You may have been in a meeting where people annoyed you and you heart and it was just, everyone is just not connecting or going together. And you're like, okay, you know what? I know we're all frustrated. Let's pull this together and see what we can get to at the end of an hour. That's great. It tells me that you know how to collaborate. It tells me that you are some person that even when things are unclear, you save situations from descending into conflict and you can pull people together. Write that down in your brag book this week. What did I do? I helped people move forward in a meeting so that at the end of a month or when you're applying for a job and you're wondering, oh, how do I demonstrate value? You go back to your brag book, listing all your wins. And that will give you confidence. Write it down. Things look way better when you have written it down. So if you have upgraded your skills by attending some courses, write that down. That demonstrates that you're valuable. If you, in your current job, you save the company money because you identified a flaw in the processes, that people were unaware of, write that down. Keep a brag book. If you help some person, one of your colleagues in your current position was having a difficulty and they turn to you and you help them, write that down. That is, when you read those things, you will say to yourself, yeah, I'm good. I'm doing good things. And it will give you something that you can talk to people about it, which leads to the last thing about how do you do values. Let me know if I'm speaking too fast because, I have my...
No, you're doing perfect.
Okay.
You're doing perfectly.
Okay, thank you. And then you have to talk about your wins, right? So when you are talking with people, you have to be able to articulate these things. So if I have my brag book and I reread it and I go, wow, I was feeling a little bit down, but now that I look at all the things that I have done, I'm feeling a little bit good about myself. When you walk into and people are talking to you to give you examples, you have them. You talk about them. And it's not bragging, because I know women, we're socialized to think that bragging is being arrogant. No, it is communicating. You know your worth, and therefore you have to communicate your worth. And then the last thing would be to keep your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, go get one, because that's where business people hang out. If you want to be, and creative people hang out, and keep your resume updated. I always say to people I coach, always stay ready. You must be ready to leave, because your career is in your hands. And if you are in a job and you are saying to yourself, this isn't satisfying me anymore, I don't think that they're seeing my worth, I don't think they're paying me for my value. If you have to go now and think to yourself, now, where did I put my resume? And then go and realize it was all back in, I don't know, 1999. Okay, I'm exaggerating. It's going to feel like, oh my God, that is such a big mountain to climb. But if every 3 months you're updating your resume, it's easy to whip that out and really start, when you have meetings with people, sending it and talking about it. So those are the things that I say to women in particular, and men as well, to do to really show that you are worthy. And it means you have to invest in yourself and do those things.
Interesting. And it's amazing that you talked about updating job search materials, because one of the topics that we were going to talk about was that. So I'm glad that you've covered it. Like, you can't just not invest in yourself. That's part of knowing your worth. That's part of understanding the value that you bring into any organization, any job that you'll pivot into or you're coming from. So
yeah, that is very important to, I think, really ensuring that you're making the most of where you are now.
Yeah. So the last topic that I wanted us to discuss was kind of importance of how, in your experience, knowing that COVID is really shaking how things work around the world. What, in your experience, is the job? What does that job market look like right now for people?
Well, the job market is scary right now for people who don't know how to demonstrate their worth and their value.
Okay.
Yes. And so that's the I forgot to say I have a book.
Oh, yes.
And it's called, Workplace. I don't know how I could forget the book. Sorry, people. And it's called Workplace Anxiety, How to Refuel and Re-Engage. Because obviously when I deal with people at work, I see a lot of anxiety. I see a lot of fear. And so the book is ready to do. And, at the beginning of my book, I say that you are important. It's not about the job. It's you and your value. That is, because right now, just like I say in the beginning of the book, everyone is probably going through the same thing. You feel overworked, underappreciated. You're struggling to figure out, how do you demonstrate value? You're scared of moving. I always say to people who want to pivot is that you want to change, but you are your biggest obstacle to the change, right? Because you're scared. Yeah. And that's why, so it's that you're stuck. And stuck is you want something really bad, but you're also feel the same drive you have to move is the same drive, is the same fear you have to stay just in case it doesn't work out. And so it's a lot about getting over that mindset. So I want people to own their fear. I want them to understand that in order to thrive, you have got to focus on you, because it's you and your value, demonstrating your value, that's important, not the job, right? Wow. And so now is a great time to look for opportunity. And I've been saying this all along to all my clients. This is the moment for people to focus on opportunities, because in situations like this, what tends to happen is people seek certainty. And so they retreat. There's fear of the unknown. And so what they do is they retreat because they want certainty. So this job that I'm tired of, that I feel stuck in, that is just not making me happy, I'm going to stay in it because it's safe and certain. And you're not going to get anywhere with that. You have to look for opportunities. So I always say this to people. If I say to you, have you seen a yellow car lately? People will say, well, no. I bet you the next week you're going to see nothing but yellow cars.
Yellow cars.
Why? Right.
Yeah.
Why? because you're looking for them. Now you're noticing them. And that's the same way in situations like this environment where people are being laid off, where the economy is uncertain. There are, with great risk comes opportunity, and you have to look for the opportunity, because naturally you're just going to see the risk, just naturally. So you have to force yourself to say, okay, where can I thrive? Where can I excel? And when I'm dealing with lots and lots of organizations, one of the things that they have a problem with is finding people. And I set it up to this week to an organization. I was like, there's so many people out there looking for jobs. I keep hearing organizations telling me that they can't find people. And they are out there, but they are scared of moving. So I say to, my clients, women I talk to, you have got to look for opportunities, because no one is not going to be a crowded field. Everyone is hunkered down, being prudent and looking for safety. So when you're out there looking for opportunities, you're not going to battle a lot of people. So now is the time. And especially when you've demonstrated your work, when you know your value, when you know your strengths, and you have your bride book, when you go out there, you're looking for which organization is good for you. Mm-hmm. And then you will walk in there confidently and say, okay, this is the job I am applying for, and here's what I can do for you.
Brag book. So I'm writing this down. Brag book, LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Just to
everyone should just listen to it over and over again to get the.
And then, what was the name of your book?
Workplace Anxiety: How to Refuel and Re-engage.
Workplace Anxiety. Okay.
And the first chapter is the mindset that will quickly improve your work, and that is really about how do you deal with uncertainty, and that's where I say to people, it's not you that's important, it's your output.
Yeah.
So when you are going to people and when you're talking to people, I always say, don't look for jobs, look for people. Mm-hmm. People give you jobs. So you don't want to go down the black hole of just applying. You're looking to meet people so that when people have jobs, they can think about you, or you can ask them and you can have conversations. So it's not you that's important. So when you're going to talk to people to convince them, you're talking about what you have done, your output. So don't be shy, right? Because it's your value that they need.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Thank you so much. And your book, where can we find it? On Amazon?
Apple, Barnes and Noble. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And maybe what we're doing?
Books are sold.
Yeah, maybe there's somehow I can do a digital giveaway. I don't want to do giveaways that involves me mailing stuff, but we'll figure out a way to do a digital giveaway for our listeners everywhere. So
cool, yeah. The only thing with a digital giveaway is I can't, usually when people buy books for others, I like to put a little inscription inside. But yes, in this day and age, you don't really want to do to be mailed.
Well, my reason is just purely because I have so much stuff to mail out right now. And I haven't gotten to them. So I don't want to sign myself up for something else that I can't get to. All right.
Yes, I agree with you.
So that covers the topics that we are put together to kind of discuss. We have quite a few questions from a bunch of people. I think it's about 6 or 7 questions. I don't think we're going to get through all of the questions, but I'm going to try to ask as much as possible. So one of the first questions that we got a lot of was, at what age do you think that someone should move from that job or settle because you can see your retirement at the horizon?
At what age should you leave or settle because you can see it depends on you and just how fed up you are of the situation. I think you can leave at any point. If you feel that you can, if you have 3 more years to retirement and you feel like I can get through these 3 years. And in order to get through those 3 years, what I always say to people is that you have to look for purpose for those 3 years. You can't just say, I'm going to suffer and stay with 3 years. You have to say, what am I hoping to accomplish? What am I hoping to get in these last 3 years? What am I focusing on? Am I looking to build skills that I will need when I retire and I start my second career? Because in today's world, you can retire from one job and then you can start a small business. So, for example, if you're an accountant for an organization, and you may determine that when you're retiring, you want to focus on nonprofits and volunteering, because like nonprofits need accounting help, financial help. You want to help them raise money for their to do their good work. So you may say, okay, I want to stay here for the next 3 years because I want to establish new connections. I want to build certain skills. I want to look at certain areas. There must be a purpose for why you're staying there, and not just so I can get my, my retirement money. Because for some people, that is not going to be enough. You feel like it's enough, but by year 2, you're ready to, So I would say with people, and I would say, well, let's focus on a purpose as to why that will guide you through those 3 years. So when you are like, okay, I want to know how to focus on raising money. I want to meet different people. You don't get bogged down in gossip or who said that about what. You're busily asking the organization to send you on more training. You're busily trying to find people to connect with and meet that area. So you are highly focused. So if you're taking that option and you feel that you can find a purpose. If not, and by no means feel that you are going to suffer from ageism, which is a bias that's out there where people think they look at your age and say you're so, old. Don't fear that. I say remove your age, update your resume, and look for jobs that will give you excitement. Do not look for a job through desperation, because when you do, you just fall into trouble. It's really sitting down and saying, okay, I have so much knowledge, I have so much experience, I have so many skills that I am willing to share with an organization and really help them out. Which organization is out there that will benefit from it? So you have a choice. You are in control of that. And sometimes I say to people, you have to, really do a search and invest the time, because it takes time. I think people just automatically, I have a saying in when I'm doing change management that people want things to get better, but they don't want to do anything different. And that's my job is to help them to understand that if you want something to change, you're going to have to change how you do things. And so you have to invest the time to find the organization that needs what you have to bring. Because there are organizations out there that I say it's not about you, it's about what you bring. They just want the skill. They want the knowledge. And once you can demonstrate that you can bring it, they will hire you.
Yeah, I'm like taking it all in, because I'm glad that I'm recording this. I get to listen to it over and over again. And obviously I do have your information, so I can always reach out to you.
Yes. One of the things I want people to understand is that life isn't happening to you. Life doesn't have to happen to you. Like you have to wait to somebody to offer you a job. You have to wait. You have to go out there and say, I am looking for these things. And as you go along, as you continue to look, you will see the opportunities. But a lot of people miss these opportunities because they're not looking for them. They're not actively seeking them. They're waiting for life to happen to them. No, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Yeah. What are the other questions that somebody had? Let's see. They said, what am I looking for in a new career? And that was kind of like, that wasn't the actual questions. Like, how do I know if it is for the income or for the fulfillment? I think that was the question was.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in a new career? How do you know it's for the income or the fulfillment? And it needs to be both, right? You need, you're demonstrating your value, because you're basically saying to people, you need to pay me for my value, right? I am worth everything that you have. Exactly. And so what are you looking for? That can only come through self-examination. I always say to people, no one gives you a purpose. People give you a job description. They don't give you a purpose. They'll tell you your job is to clean the building. You have to find the facts that the building, the reason I clean hospital rooms is to create sterile spaces where people can safely recover and get healthy. That's the purpose of what you're doing. And you have to discover that. No one is going to give that to you. They're just going to say to you, we need some person to clean a hospital room, for an example. So that's the key thing. The second thing is you have to figure out, well, what do I want? Really sit down and say, what brings me joy? What do I like doing that I love doing that gives me energy right now? Is it talking to people, or is that a draining? So you don't want a job where you have to interact with lots and lots of people, Is it that you love talking to people, but you don't like too much paperwork? So you want a job where you can interact, but you don't have to, when they leave, you don't have to do a whole lot of paperwork behind them. So it's really sitting down with people. Another thing that I say to women, in addition to have a brag book, the second thing is to get a board of directors.
To get
organizations, a board of directors.
Okay.
Organizations have a board of directors, a group of people that is invested in the organization and want the best for them. So you have to get one for yourself, right? I always say to people, I'll be your coach. I'll be on your board of directors where I will say, and I'm invested with you. You can come to me. So get a group of people. Who are the people around you that know you, love you, and want the best for you? It could be a former boss. It could be your best friend. It could be your mother. Those are the people that you want to go to and say to them, help me demonstrate, help me figure out what I love. Help me figure out what I really thrive in. Because you don't want to go to people who are your frenemies or who are not interested, who are not giving you energy. They're just going to demotivate you. So first of all, get yourself a group of people. That may be 2 people, they may be 3 people. And then we'll sit down and say, okay, what am I good at? What brings me life? What brings me to energy? What is it that is tedious, but I can do it because it's necessary? And what is it that I absolutely hate, that it just doing that, the thought of it just, grinds my gears. And so you are therefore, when you're looking for a new career, you're looking for the things that energize you and the things that you don't mind doing because they're an end, they lead to an outcome that you want. And so only you know that. And you have to ask yourself those questions. You have to ask the people who love and care about you what you love, because you may say, oh, wow, I love being creative. And then your best friend will tell you, remember when you were doing that project, you were miserable, you hated it. And you told me to remind you of this the next time you say you want to do a creative project, right? Or you love children, and then you had a job. Remember that time you had a job and barely lasted 2 weeks? So you love the idea of children, but no, you're not equipped to deal. They will tell you the hard truths. And so through that sort of analysis, that self-assessment, you get to the kernel. What are your strengths? What energizes you? And that's the career you're looking for, a career that gives you that. Yeah. Whether it's a job, whether you're creating a little business, because, Black women are the largest generators of a side hustle. Unfortunately, Black women don't get the access to funds that white women do. But
we're talking about that. The next conversations we'll be talking to somebody who is really going to help us kind of tap into areas where we can get funding for our business as entrepreneurs. So
excellent. So you really just need to figure out, and that's it. No one is good. No one tells you your purpose in life, and it's not like burning bush. You're not Moses. You're a wonderful human being, but there's not going to be a burning bush. It takes excavation of who am I? What do I love? What energizes me? Let me talk to people who love me. And that may be one person. It may be 2 people. It may be, you watch a YouTube video of some person who gives you good stats. So you have to sit down and ask yourself those questions and really listen to yourself without judgment, without being harsh. Give yourself some self-compassion, some supportive words, and figure out, what do I love to do? And then go out there and try it. Right? Because you may try something and it's not working. That's data. that's good data to download and say, okay, I tried that. Just like I said with, you said, I want to deal with children, and your best friend tell you, no, you didn't like it at all. You quit after 2 weeks. That's good because it tells you what to avoid or if I'm going to try that, I need to approach it differently. So that's the key right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another question, I mean, you've answered actually a lot of the questions that we've had, but one question that somebody had that I thought was important is, the person said, I know the world is full of hate and sometimes your name can be a hindrance to your business. So she's been told anyway, what's the best way to work around that? Like, if you have an ethnic sounding name, like for me, my maiden name is ethnic sounding, and then I married somebody who's Latino. And so I still have an ethnic sounding name because my last name is African, but now I've married a Latino, so I have more of a Latina name. And so that could hinder me one way or the other. How do you get around that?
Okay, so name bias is a real bias. It really does happen. All the research supports that. So it's not in your mind, mind, or somebody didn't bring that up. I mean, at a certain point, Barack Obama didn't use Barack Obama. I think
he used Barry.
Yes, exactly. And, and if you've ever interacted with people from different countries, they'll tell you, oh, my English name is, I have to say to people, I don't want your English name. Give me the Chinese name. I will struggle to pronounce it because I don't want to do it. So the first thing to do is don't beat up on yourself, right? You have to do what is best for you. So some people start off like Barack Obama with your middle name. I think the other day someone referred to Stephen Curry by his first name and he gave them a look. So, I think it began with a W. I was like, wait, I didn't realize he had a first name. And so some people have the confidence to say to themselves, you know what? When I'm getting my feet in through the door, I'm going to go with my middle name because I feel that will not be a barrier for me to get my foot in the door. So if you have decided that you are going to do that, that is okay. You have to do what's working for you. And then there's another part where you get really confident and you're like, you know what? My name is Susanna Onaka, creator underwater basket weaving. And that's the name I was christened with. And that's what I am going to stay with. And if you don't want me with that name, then goodbye to you. Because, sometimes we say, God, if God shuts the door, don't go breaking it down. Look to the next way for a window. So that's why I say to people, work with what you are comfortable with, because we're facing so many barriers and so many struggles as you walk up through the door that just don't add more weight to yourself. Figure out which one do you want to start with. So for example, I have an accent and there's an accent bias as well that research shows. And so I say to people when I first meet them, the way I deal with that is I say, the first thing you will notice about me is that I have an accent. And I will tell them where I come from, so they're not sitting there wondering, where is she from, instead of listening to me. I put that up front and I remove it. That's how I deal with my what could potentially be an accent bias. Another way some people can deal with it is that sometimes people have names, and I have a bad tendency to say to people when I hear a name that I've never heard before that sounds so different, well, what does it mean? And then they'll say something like soldier of God. And I'm like, oh, wow, I have no in another language. So another thing you can decide if you're going to keep your name is to identify what it means for you or what it says to you to really say, to counteract that. So you have three options. Number one, you can change the name if you think to yourself, I have like 5 barriers before me and I really don't want to deal with that one. So I will have my English name for, like some people do for those people. Number 2, you can stand firm in your name and you can say to yourself, that's a sign to the universe that if somebody rejects me or my name is not where I want to be anyway. And number 3, you can address it immediately and say, okay, here is my name. It means X. So like, for example, when you put your name on your resume, in the brackets, you put how it's pronounced. comma, what it means. Or it's pronounced X. My mother gave it to me because I was the light of her life. Something like that, so that when the person is reading your name, they get a sense of why it is, and it reduces that sense of foreignness, that sense of other, that unconscious bias will be like, what the heck is that name? And seek to, remove you from it. So those are the three options that you have. But don't beat yourself up for whichever option you choose.
Yeah. Yeah. No, those are really amazing advice, because, for those people, and myself included, I started with an ethnic name, an African last name, and then another Latina last name, and then I have an accent. And so there's those layers.
So that, you hit all the buckets in terms of inclusivity. You are some person that you just your name alone, I will claim, if I had your group of names, that I am some person who understands all areas of life. I am culturally competent. I am able to communicate and navigate across cultures to pull people together to accomplish a common goal.
Exactly. And that's that sounds like a rap to me, girl.
Yes. So when you walk into an organization, just your name alone demonstrates value. So you see, you don't even have to bring your experience. You could just bring your life history, your name, that tells people that in this world where we require inclusive and productive spaces, just from my history and my name, I know what that is, and I can bring it to that organization. So when people say to me, I'm so scared because I'm changing and I'm like, no, you just haven't examined your life story to pull out the value that you bring.
And it goes back to knowing your worth and just putting it out there, like investing in yourself is so important, because if you don't invest in yourself, and the reason why this resonates with me is because these are things that I am not good at, right? I'm not good at selling myself or any of that, or those things. So that's why when you said, like, even with the name thing, I didn't even think about it the way you did. But it is important. Like, we are now living in a multi-discipline world, in multicultural world, like, companies have these requirements where they want people to be able to work with people from different backgrounds. And you have a name, you have experiences that suits you well for that. So highlight that, lean into that, and just go with it. Like, own who you are. Invest, own you.
And that's the purpose of a cover letter. So, there's a resume and a cover letter. Please don't sign resumes without cover letters. A cover letter says, this is who I am and the value I bring to you. It helps you to really, take control of the narrative people will have of you.
Yeah.
We say that to people. They'll say, oh, no, you're aggressive. No, I'm assertive. And there's a reason why I am. Oh, you're bossy. No, I'm a leader. You have to give the narrative to people. Don't let life happen to you. You have to take control and really assert life, and be able to get knocked down, be told no, and get back up. Because I say that to people. Don't feel bad for being told no, because people are told no every day. Success is consistency and keeping at it when you feel like giving up.
Yeah. Amazing. There were some other questions, but I think that it might take me having to actually do some research to basically find those, because some of them were like, oh, how can we find? Well, there's one question I think I should ask you. This has to do, it's kind of in a separate industry that I'm not familiar in, but somebody said, what kind of work is out there for someone who likes to write and be creative? Someone that truly enjoys doing creative writing, poetry, and those types of things. What types of job would you suggest for somebody like that?
So that person will definitely have to go in and, Google that, because when you say you like to write and creative writing and poetry, I'm thinking, first of all, there's so many people out there looking for writers to write blog posts for them. They're looking for people to edit their work. They're looking for people to write for them. And so there are numerous sites out there where you can freelance. You know, Fiverr is one of them. There's so many specialized ones. And I think, like, one day I was looking at the Sussex Squad website, and you have an entire page on how to find work, and it's particularly now remote work. And there were a whole bunch of places where people can go. And when I tapped on some of them, they had a whole lot of writing sections, because I write for digital publications as well. So the first thing I would say to people is to write more. When you're a writer, you have to write every day. The second thing is you have to like determine, okay, I need to pitch to certain spaces. So look for digital platforms. Heragenda.com is always looking for writers. Look for magazines and whatever. Take the information on who to pitch to, and read the sites, read the magazines, and say, do I love the work that they're putting out? Can I write that? And then pitch your work to people, and also do freelance work like that. So that's a really easy, that barrier is so low. There's a reason why so many people write and make a living at it, because if you're a good writer, there's so much opportunities out there for you to really just get your foot into the door and write articles.
Yeah. And an example of that is one of our social media manager who actually manages, the person who actually managed that part of our website, the job site. She was out of work because of COVID. And she came to us and she said, I really need a job. And I was like, we can bring you on and we can try to kind of find these resources for people and write. And so like when people turn in articles to us to write, like they wrote for us, she will take a look at it. She will help organize it. And that helps her out too, because it's keeping her skills up for when, she can find a job. Right. And so, then she's doing that kind of like a freelance basis, and we're paying her. She's, there's no free working, we're paying her, and she can put that on her resume if she's trying to apply for jobs with a magazine or another blog or whatever. But at least she's able to do something. She's leveraging her very unique skill, which is she likes to write. She likes to help people organize and find stuff, and putting that out there and saying, okay, this is an example of things that you can go look at to see what I've done.
Exactly. And so there's so much opportunities for you to out there and write. And please start a blog immediately, and so that when people are looking for examples, you can see it. Write on LinkedIn. If you are a writer and you love to write and do poetry, find groups that do that. Those are the sort of things that you do. Find your tribe.
Yeah, find your tribe. And so, and a lot of people ask, where can we find jobs? If you're listening to this, we have, and Sonia mentioned it on the Sussex Squad podcast website, there's been a lot of work put in to do a whole series on how to brush up your resume, your cover letter, what you wear, how to interview, and also job searches. And if you are subscribed to our newsletter, the month of January was all about pivoting careers, about finding us that new job so we can level up this year. And so that whole newsletter had links for jobs. I mean, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jobs.
Yeah, it's very comprehensive. Very good. Because I did go through it and I was like, oh, this is excellent. Right.
Yeah.
And so for that person, go there because they had so many options for freelancing, for writing.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's pretty much all we have, like all the questions that we have. One thing that I wanted to ask, is there one sentence or one statement, one word that you want to leave us with before we, so that we can take with us, from this?
Well, I'd like to reinforce to people that you have to push through fear and uncertainty. You know, the way we push through, like when we're tired, we don't stop. We push through feeling tired. We push through feeling sleepy and don't go to bed and finish, watching the movie or finish doing the work, or we push through our tiredness. I want us to push through our fear the same way that we do that, because everything you need is on the other side of fear.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
So believe in yourself, bet on yourself. So that's two things. Push through fear, treat fear like how you treat being tired, push through it, because that's a sign that there's something good out there. And I don't want you to be too scared to go climb it. And I want you to bet on yourself. You are worthy. You are valuable. You have so much to give. You're inherently capable, strong, and wise. Bet on you. Bet on you.
Amen. Bet on yourself. And so I can't say thank you enough for joining us. And we've been trying to link up the last few days, and we just keep missing each other. And so, first of all, I want to say thank you for accepting. And we talked about this a few months ago, I think back in November. We talked about this, and to see it now happening and us having this conversation today has been really, I'm so happy, because this is a direction for me that I felt like in our little community, and kind of just doing things in the ethos of what Harry and Meghan feel is important, is building this community. And, when every time Harry and Meghan talk, especially Meghan, she talks about community. And this is what community looks like. This is us giving back to this community of people who have been here listening to our podcast. And I know a lot of people like the podcast that we do every Sunday. It's an amazing podcast, but this is my way of giving back. This is my way of investing in our community. This is my way of building this community. And this is Sonia's way of giving back. And so with that, I just want to say thank you, Sonia, for taking the time, sharing yourself with us, and hopefully people can take the information that you have impacted on us today and say, today I will invest in myself. Today I will take control of my narrative. Today I will go and check my information, my resume, my cover letter, and update it and make sure that I'm taking this opportunity to show my worth and to continue to reflect exactly who I am in everything I'm doing, especially if I am going into another job. And basically saying today, I level up, which is the whole idea of all of this. We are leveling up. So thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Hi, Sussex Squad. I love you guys.
We love you too. And for all those who are listening to this podcast, thank you for taking the time to listen. And we hope that there have been a lot of takeaways for you. There are accent bias, there are name biases. Sonia's already said, update your information and invest in yourself. Translate your current skills to a new job, on who you are, and also take control of the narrative of that people may have of you on your cover letter. So when you go type up your cover letter, type out your name, spell it out, and then tell them what it means. If you have an ethnic name, own all of you, take control of that narrative and really lean into who you are. And so I just want to say thank you, and let's keep leveling up.